Hey everyone, Chris Petri here. Thanks again for coming by. We're going to do another beautiful tutorial here on flower painting in watercolor, of course. We always mention in the beginning of our videos that we do everything watercolor on this channel, and we do different subject matter every week, and we change as we go. Each week we'll do maybe flowers this week, we'll do boats the next week, seascapes the following week, then maybe we'll do some architecture. Maybe another week we're going to do some city scenes, some cityscapes. We're always changing our subject matter, but at the same point in time, we're actually doing the same methods and techniques in watercolor over and over and over again. So that's why I always say, even if you're not so fond of doing flower paintings and you really love boats or seascapes or something like that, please watch this video, because you're still going to learn all about the colors we use, how to mix colors, how we use our palette to our fullest advantage, how we do our washes, how we work our paintings, how we execute our washes and mixing colors on the paper or in the palette. So it depends. Sometimes we're mixing right on the paper, sometimes we're mixing in the palette. So all these things, you'll get used to them and you'll get them locked into your mode of thinking when you're watercolor painting, if you're watching every week. So that's why I always mention, please, if you're, just new here, maybe it's your first time here, welcome. And we have the subscribe button on the right-hand side over here. So on the bottom right-hand side of the screen, your viewing screen, you'll see the subscribe button. And if you subscribe, you'll always have my channel sending you messages every week saying the new videos are now coming out and you can watch them. So a really fun time here we're going to have each week as we paint. And again, you're going to have a wonderful time painting these flowers, and I know many of you really enjoy the flower painting videos that we do here. So I'm really happy you're going to join along with us. We'll do the pencil drawing first, and then we're going to get into the painting portion. And I'll lift up the mat here. We used a mat to start out with to get our borders correct. And this is the finished painting. And you can use this actually as your guide if you want to use this to paint from. You can do that too. You can hit pause on your video, or you can hit screen capture and do a screen capture, and we kind of cover that in a few minutes. You'll see as we work into this video, you'll see that I explain how screen capturing is a big thing. You can do screenshots of this painting just like it is now. You can do those, and you can look it up on YouTube how to do it for your specific computer or your phone or your specific iPad or devices that you use on a regular basis, and that'll make it really fun for you. You can have the actual finished painting that I'm doing right in front of you on a large iPad or even a laptop computer or even your TV screen if you have your if you have the ability to plug your devices like your phone or your laptop computer into your flat screen TV or your TV. Then you can blow this up and make this really large, and you can kind of work from it from that perspective. So we'll get started in just a second. Again, thanks for stopping by and happy painting here, and we'll get going here in just a second. Okay, welcome everybody. Thanks so much for coming by and painting with us, and we're having a great time here. We're actually going to start out by just making a quick observation, like when we're going to use let's say, maybe like an 8x12 or 8x14 sheet of paper. You might have a larger sheet of paper, and you trim it down. Your watercolor paper, you trim it down smaller. It's always good to maybe purchase a few of these pre-cut mats, right? And you get them in different sizes. This one's a 5x7, and so a 5" by 7", and then you drop it on your watercolor paper, and then what you do is you ever so lightly, we take a pencil and we ever so slightly just put a pencil mark around the border of the 5x7, like this. Okay, so that's ever so slightly a pencil mark around here. This way we know we at least have to have our painting that large, so that we can put our mat over the top of it and then put it in a frame. So your end goal is to be able to put your watercolor paintings into frames. Many of you know, as watercolor artists, you don't always know how your watercolor is going to turn out, and I'm the same way. Most watercolor artists will tell you the same thing. Sometimes your paintings will come out great, it just happens, everything clicks perfectly and your painting comes out phenomenal. Other times, we're working and the painting just doesn't go right, whatever, we're too tired maybe at the time when we're working, or maybe we just were tired at the end of the day and we tried doing a painting, whatever it is, or some days we just work and we feel refreshed and we go in and we do a painting and it comes out just right. So each time you do a painting or composition even, you just take a quick pre-cut mat, whatever size it is. You can buy these in all different sizes, so whatever size sheet of paper you have, you just take either this size mat, maybe one a little smaller, perhaps a few quite a bit larger than this one, which is a 5x7, and you just do a quick little super light sketch line around the picture window of your mat, your pre-cut mat. This way, at least when you're going to do your painting and drawing, you have to fill that much area up, and you'd even want to go beyond it a little bit. So this way you have some wiggle room. You can take your mat and move it around a little bit, and you kind of might say, oh, it looks a little better over this way, or oh, it looks better that way, or down a little bit, up a little bit. So the more you can have a little bit of extra play in your painting, you'll be better off. But the main thing is you have to have it at least this size for a 5x7 pre-cut mat, and then that'll fit into a 8x10 frame or whatever the frame size would be. So here I'm kind of already making a mess and getting some of the paint. So you always got to be careful when you're working with your palette when you have your fresh colors out there and you're working, but this won't be a problem. So just a little bit of encouragement to try to use your pre-cut mats. You buy a few here and there as you go, maybe just so you have a few, and you don't have to keep them clean or anything. They're for the studio, for yourself, so that you just have a guide to, as the size of your painting, what it needs to be able to work with your matting, because you want to always have a mat. Not always. You can do paintings without mats, but they work good because then they fit in standard size frames, and then if you give it for a gift, you can tell somebody, hey, you know what, I don't know what kind of decor you have, but here's a painting with a mat, and then you can figure out what decor you have, and then you can get your frame according to your decor. You might have gold frames in your house, well then you want to get a gold frame to match your other frames in your house maybe. Or if you have black frames on a few paintings, maybe you want to get a black frame. So you don't always know what people are going to have for their frames or what they like for their frames for their paintings, but you can definitely choose the mat for your painting, because most times watercolors look good with light colored mats like this: sand color, cream, beige, tan, off-white, very, very light blue sometimes looks nice, but you'll figure that out as you go. But just a little tidbit of information. Okay, so we're ready to start our drawing, and we're just going to do a simple vase with flowers. We're going to do some beautiful red flowers, a rose, a couple roses, there's a couple other interesting red flowers, and there's some white flowers in this as well. So let's have a fun time. Now, we said this was our very, very light sketch. Well, we can go outside that border if we want. So we'll make it a little larger than this, and then we can place the mat over it later and see how that works out. So I'm just going to go maybe a quarter inch beyond that line with my tape. So we'll put some tape on. Tape always looks fantastic, because when you peel off your tape, you get a perfect, crisp, clean border around your painting. And it almost looks like you have it matted. And then if you pin it up in your studio, you almost have like a finished painting right in your studio, just when you take the tape off and pin it up on the wall, tape it up on your wall, your refrigerator, whatever you like to do. Be happy with your paintings. As long as you keep working at it a little bit all the time, you're going to get better and better. So you can hang up your paintings, even if they don't look like, the most perfect paintings in the world. So we have that. Now we'll just erase this line here. It's such a super light line, sketch line, that it comes right off and you won't even see it. Just like that. And I use a kneaded eraser, the kneaded erasers are fantastic. They don't make any crumbs. So this way you don't have any crumbs on your paper or on your table, your working table, because that kind of gets a little bit messy with the watercolor paint. So kneaded erasers are really important. You don't want to use those pink or those green, different color erasers that they have, or even the ones like this. You wouldn't want to use the eraser on the end of your pencil either, because these make crumbs. See all those crumbs? That's not good. That'll get into the watercolor paint, your brush. It's terrible. So just kneaded eraser. You see these all the time. They're on all the websites, the art websites. They're in all your art stores. You get them in Amazon, wherever you want to get them. You can find them. Kneaded erasers. Okay, so now we're going to start our drawing, and let's start at the bottom. And we're going to have our vase on the table here. And then I'm just going to make our vase like so. And it's about this size here. It's basically a rectangle, but it flares out a little bit. So it does have a little bit of a flare going out like so. And it has a thick, heavy bottom to it, so we can put that line on there. And then there's some green leaves in here, so we can, and there's some stems in here too, like that. And there's some other leaves like this. So it's a crystal clear, translucent, transparent glass vase. And then what we'll do is we'll start our flowers over here. There's a flower there. And I'm just going around, kind of like what I see here. So I'm drawing the flower. You're going to draw from either my finished painting or you're going to draw from my pencil drawing here. And what I'll do is I'll zoom into the pencil drawing once we're done, so you can actually work from that if you'd like. It would be maybe a little better. Okay, so we have that white flower there. And then we have a green flower here that comes to there. And there's another stem there, and another small bud here and there. And then here, so I'm staying close. If you can see, I'm kind of staying close to, I'm trying to stay close to the center of where I'm working and not go too far out this way or this way, because this way I can kind of like look at the size of everything and kind of judge how big I want to make something. If this flower is this big, then when I look at the next flower over here and I say, oh, that next flower over here is not that big, it's not as big as this, and this way I'm staying close to where I'm working here, if you can imagine, like that. And then we're just doing a little couple. And there's another white flower here. Out there like so. And then under here there's some greens like that. And there's some red flowers there too. And then there's another. And then there's some green. Leaves and things here. Like that. Okay, so we're just kind of working our way around, and then up here there's a green leafy plant there, and then there's another bit of some green flowery kind of plants there, and up here like that. And what else do we have here? We have this one, and then we have this one here, like that. And then up here, we're going to start again over here with this white flower here. And we're going to make our another beautiful red rose here. And then another one on top here. Maybe we'll make that one a little smaller, like so. Then we're going to have another beautiful leaf here. It's like almost looks like a bird of paradise, but it's not really. And then this over here is another red flowery type shape there. And then we come down over here, and then we'll have another white flower there. And then over here we have more white flowers. And there's some areas you can just let them be. Don't worry about being perfect with everything. You know, you realize when you're starting to paint, we're drawing here quite a bit. You can see you might want to take a break. I'm kind of going at a good pace here, and I feel refreshed, and I can keep drawing here, which is fine. But sometimes if you're drawing very fine flower shapes and things like this, take a break maybe start out and get half of this done and take a break, and then come back and finish everything up here. I'm feeling like I can keep working, so you have to be the judge of how much time you can work before you need a break to keep the concentration levels going good. And I'm feeling good, so I'm just going to continue here like that. So we have our white flower here, and then we have that other green flower here, and then we have a large green leaf here, and then we have another like that. So I feel like I have a good, maybe this is if you need a little kneaded eraser just to maybe one of the leaves or something or flowers needed a little bit of erasing. You have to adjust a few things, but with a painting like this and a drawing like this, you really are really just having fun drawing it and having a good time with it. And you realize once you start painting this, you're not going to be following every line in here. This is just like a basic format for you that when you go in and start painting, it'll all make sense because you're concentrating on your drawing of your flowers and your vase and your leaf forms and all these different things. So as you go and draw this, you're drawing pretty accurately what you see, right? However, when you go in and start painting this, you can have more fun and be a little more loose. So what I'm saying is you're not going to be looking at this really closely and painting every little detail. You're just going to, this is like your basic format that you're going to be working with. And then once you start putting your paint on, you're going to adjust a little bit and do some different things and have fun with the paint, and kind of like, almost like you're going in and creating a brand new composition over the top of your pencil work. So your pencil work gets you familiar with the bouquet that we're drawing, the flowers, the shapes, you're looking at everything, you're kind of feeling it out. And then once you're done with the pencil sketch, when you're going in with your paints, that's a whole nother kind of part of it where you're going in and you have the basic format of what it looks like, but you're going to change things a little bit, and you might, not be as strict and be really like, oh, I've got to get every little line in here painted just right. No, you're going to go in, have fun, and you stay close to your lines that you draw on your contour drawing here, but it doesn't have to be exact. You can make a flower a little larger than you want, or if you want to make something a little larger, you can do that, or if you want to make something a little smaller, one of the flowers, or if you want to add a few leaves or a stem or a splash or two, you can do all those things. Just have fun. It's a creative process. Does that make sense? It's a creative process, so you never have to feel like you're locked into like sticking with every line and every little bit of detail that you draw. Your drawing is just a basic guideline for you so that when you go in and paint, you actually just have a good blueprint to start with, and then you develop your painting as you go, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. All right, well, I thank you again for coming by and painting with us here and drawing. We're doing this beautiful flower arrangement. Oh, if I didn't mention, if you're just brand new and this is your first time here at my YouTube channel, thanks so much for coming by. I really appreciate it. And I'm hoping that you're going to subscribe on the right-hand side down here below the screen. So this way, feel free to subscribe. This way you won't lose my channel here. You'll start to get the notifications that a new video comes out every week. We're doing new videos every week on the weekends, and then sometimes in the middle of the week we do videos, all the time, consistently. So you'll get those if you subscribe below on the right-hand side. I would like you to do that if you like this video so far and you think it's something you're going to want to keep following. And for everyone else that's been here a while and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing because, this way you don't miss out on any videos. You can always follow what I'm doing. And if you don't like a video or two once in a while, you skip those. But you'll probably find something you're going to like every couple weeks or so because I change my subject matter all the time. So you might not like boats or seascapes, but you might really like flowers. So we're always going to come back and do flowers after a couple of weeks or so. So that's why I say if you subscribe, you're going to be so much better off. Don't feel like I'm ignoring anybody out there. If you like certain subject matter, just let me know in the comments section down below. But I know that's why I always mix up my subject matter so that I make sure everyone's getting a little bit of what they like here and there. I can't make every video flowers because then a lot of the other people are going to be unhappy that we work with all of our fellow artists. So let's all be happy here together. And we'll have plenty of happy paintings going forward, okay? Week after week, month after month, and year after year. We're here for you, and we're going to continue. So I'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Okay, we are back, and we're going to start painting, everybody. Let's get excited here. We're just about ready to paint. The only thing I noticed, I didn't put my... this is basically a vase on a table. So whenever you're painting, let's say, flower arrangements or still life, it's really a good rule of thumb to try to establish your table. And I looked at my reference photo that may have some issues with copyright, so I can't really put it on the screen. So that's why I always say, please work from my video here. Feel free to take my pencil drawing and do a screen capture of that or leave it on pause to draw from. So what I'll do is now I'm going to zoom in on the pencil drawing here like that, and I'm going to see if I can maybe adjust the lighting here a little bit. That might be a little bit easier to see, and then maybe I can even like that. Okay, so that's a little bit easier to see the drawing, the pencil drawing. Now you can do a screen capture of this, print screen capture, or you can just leave it on pause and try to draw from this. Or it might be easier to draw from the finished painting, because the finished painting you're going to see all the colors and the shapes of the flowers and the leaves and everything. So it might be easier for you to draw from my painting once I'm completed. And I'll have that on the first part of the video, on the beginning, first few minutes. As well as at the end of the video, you'll see the finished painting as we finish it up when we're painting. So that choice is up to you, how you want to do it. But this is a pretty straightforward flower painting composition, so you shouldn't have an issue either way. But that is the pencil drawing here. I can even zoom in a little more, like that. And again, you can hit pause, or you can do a screen capture of this with your phone, your laptop, your iPad, any kind of device you have. You can look that up online, how to do a screenshot or how to do a screen capture on YouTube. You just type that in, how to do a screenshot, how to do a screen capture, and you would just type in what kind of device you have. How to do a screen capture with my iPhone, and then you fill in the blank. What type of iPhone do you have? Is it a 5, a 2, a 13, a 12? iPhones are coming out all the time, new iPhones for, each year. And then as well, you might have a laptop computer and you might say how to do a screenshot or how to do a screen capture with my Dell laptop. And then you might put like what type of Dell laptop is it? Is it a Latitude or an Inspiron? And you might put as much information you can put in, but YouTube will give you back the answer and it'll have somebody there showing you exactly how to do it. Pretty much everyone's always out there covering all the details of all the technologies and the things like that. You might have a iPad. You might type in how to do a screenshot or screen capture with an iPad. Okay, so I'm going to zoom back out again. We're going to start painting. I just figured I would mention that. And I think that's good. I'm going to turn back on my left light over here on the left, like that, so we have a little better lighting for our palette. You'll see my colors a little better with that light on over here. So I have two lights basically. I have a light over here overhead on top of the table above us, and then I have another light over here to the left up above, and that shines down on the palette. So this way you can see the colors clearly on the palette, and then we have the other light here above our work. So let's start out. We're going to use just a couple brushes, I think maybe 2 or 3 brushes. I'm probably going to use a number 6, Raphael. And this is a Kolinsky Sable brush. I'm going to put a little bit of water in my water bucket. So this brush is wonderful. It's got a really nice point on it. Holds lots of water. Then the next one we'll use it as a Da Vinci, Pure Kolinsky Da Vinci travel brush, number 5. It's a number 5 brush, kind of small. So compared to the number 6, this is the number 6 round brush, and this is the number 4. This is actually number 4 here, travel brush. So we have a number 4 and a number 6 round brush, natural hair brushes, Kolinsky Sable squirrel hair brushes, basically. Or sable, actually, sable hair brushes. And then this here is a needlepoint brush, number 8 needlepoint brush. Alvaro Castagnet makes these. You can get these at his website. And then you can get these at Amazon or on any of your major art stores online. The Raphael, number 6. Easy to spot that. It has the orange tip. And these are easy to spot also. These are the travel brushes with the plastic handles, and you can pack them away if you're out painting outdoors, doing compositions outside. You can just put these in your pocket, and then when you want to go out, if you're going outdoors to paint, you want to do a couple compositions outdoors, you just put your brush together like that, and then you have a beautiful brush to work with, or a couple. And they make these in all different sizes too, but this happens to be a number 4. Okay, so we have these 3 brushes. I think these are going to be fine to do this. This is a 5x7 painting. So we'll put our brushes down over here. I'll start out with, maybe I'll start out with the number 6. And we're going to get some greens right away. We're going to start out with greens. A little burnt umber too. We want them warm and cool, so this is a really, a cool green. And then add some burnt umber here, some burnt sienna here. So I'm trying to, and then some raw umber. So I'm trying to make a little mix of colors. I don't want to just go in with one color. That's the real, you'll find that watercolors look really good when you mix your colors a lot and add a lot of excitement to your colors, right? You wouldn't want to just go in with one green, like let's say you wouldn't want to go in and say, oh, I'm going to do a green for my my leaf forms, and then you just take one green like this, and then you just, the whole painting, you're just using that one green. That's going to look very boring. So that's why you always see me, I'm mixing all my colors warm and cool. You have a cool green here. You can even add some cobalt blue up here, make it even cooler yet. And then you add some warm colors, some burnt umber, some burnt sienna, some raw umber, maybe some raw sienna over here too. This way you have a nice, beautiful selection of colors, and you can just harmonize them together. And you'll find that you're really going to have a good looking painting if you're mixing those colors. So here I'm going to take that, do that greenish blue, then I'll go in and get some of the browns and the reds. And already I can say that looks better. Then we're going to do some alizarin crimson, beautiful red, and then some rose madder, which is a more of a lighter tonal value, a lighter pinkish color. And we're going to start getting in some of our red colors in here for our flowers. There's a little bit of red there too. And as you can see, I'm mixing lots of color. I'm letting all the colors mix together. This red flower comes down here a little bit. I'll go straight into my alizarin crimson. Like that. And then already we can see we have really good colors now. We have good colors working for us, so that we're not looking kind of boring. And there's some green here, like that. And again, I'm using my pencil drawing as my guide as to where I'm placing my colors, and I keep an eye on that as I go. And the key is to not get too worried about every single detail of pencil line, but just overall kind of follow the same colors and you're seeing in the picture or in this painting. So you're going to follow my painting at the end or in the beginning of my video for your guide when you're painting this, and you'll be fine. So here we're going to do some cadmium lemon yellow. I have to work that a little bit and mix it around a little bit because it tends to so that's kind of got that lemony look. Looks good. I always rinse off my brush continually, so you might not always see me here with a full screen of everything I'm doing, but always remember my water container is on the right hand side. This happens to be a canteen, metal canteen container. I have that over on my right hand side. Next to that I have a small sponge. I cut a little small piece of sponge. This is like a sponge you have for the kitchen. I set that next to my water container and I rinse my brush and then tap it on the sponge. And then also sometimes I'll even use a tissue and take off a little more water on the tissue as well. So between my sponge next to my water container, so if I have my sponge next to my water container, I rinse my brush off, tap it on the sponge to get a little water off, and then even if I need to take more water off, I'll use an extra bit of tissue to get even more water off to dry the brush off a little more. Because usually when you rinse your brush, there's a ton of water in it, so you don't want to constantly be rinsing your brush and then flooding out all of your palette or your paper with water. So you want to keep you want to really keep in your consciousness and in your mind, you want to make sure you're keeping your brush from having too much water on it. That's a big problem a lot of artists have that are kind of starting out or been painting a while, but they're not quite sure how much water they're going to need in their brush. It's always important to try to take some water off your brush right away. And this way you can go in and get your paints right out of your palette, and then you're going to have much better colors on your painting. Okay, so let's continue here. We have some more alizarin crimson. So again, I rinse my brush, dry it off on the sponge. Even sometimes I'll dry it off a little bit on the tissue. And we'll work over here a little bit. Okay, and then here we're going to go with some more green. And there's a bit of green here, like so. And you'll notice when I'm doing this painting that I don't fill in all of the areas with paint. I leave some white paper in there. You'll see that as we go. I'm not going to try to just fill everything with paint. I want to try to keep some I'll get some straight. Maybe even we'll go with some French ultramarine blue. Get a little bit of some darks in there. I did see a couple of darks, and if you can add a little French ultramarine blue and some, I had some alizarin crimson on my brush. It turned into a purple. That's fine. That little bit of purple looks good. So that's one of those things when you're kind of working with watercolor, you'll see you'll have little fun things that happen on your paper. Okay. Now we'll go in with some more greens. And you can kind of see I'm doing a little bit of that quick, kind of like flicking motion or quick little, that looks good if you can do that. It kind of keeps some of the painting looking a little more exciting and like there's some more quicker brush strokes going on, which looks good. And then I just add a couple splashes there. The key to the splashing on something like this is you want to have a drier brush and go in and get the paint off the palette, which is not, there's not a ton of water on here. You can kind of see that. It's not too much water where it's flooding down, and so that's just another thing with I have a video on splashing. Just type in Chris Petri splashing technique, and you'll see I have 2 or 3 videos at least, maybe 4 or 5 actually, in my archives. But if you just type in Chris Petri into YouTube and then put splashing technique, I go over all my splashing techniques, so you can kind of learn how to do it in a more focused way, where I'm not just covering it now for 5 seconds and telling you this is how to do splashing. I cover it in detail, but you'd have to look at my other videos on that, and when you have time, go and do that. Check it out. So if you don't want to do any splashing on this painting, that's fine. I understand. But you'd want to look that up on YouTube so you can try it out. And we're going to continue here. We're going to do some more yellow. So we'll have a little bit of a yellow there, and then down here too. Okay, so we can kind of see we are really having a great time so far. We're working around our painting. We're getting those gorgeous, beautiful reds and greens and mixtures of color. I might go with my smaller number 4 now, just so I can get a little more detail. And there's some darker mix here. So that's that French ultramarine blue and a little bit of alizarin crimson there. And I forgot to pencil in another couple. And There's another couple small forms there, some branches. We'll paint those in. We might do those with the needlepoint brush. And then we're going to go over here, and there's some more rose madder here and alizarin crimson. So we're going to get a few more of those red flower shapes in. Like that. And there might be some darker shapes over there, some shadowing. I would say the light is coming straight this way. We can always make our light insignia on our paintings, so we know. So here on this painting, the light is pretty much behind us. So we don't see any of the light bulb in this light fixture here, this spotlight. So the lights, if you can imagine this light spotlight, it's behind us. So we kind of draw it the same way. If it was in front of us, it might look like this, with the light bulb like that. But this happens to be the lights behind us, frontal lighting. So we keep aware of that, so that'll really make our painting look better. And then I'm going to do these couple of these stem forms. Okay, a few of those. And then we can even start getting in some cerulean blue, which, since I'm going to use cerulean blue, I want to make sure I start to add it a little bit everywhere. So let me take some of that cerulean blue and add it other areas. And then what I'll do is I'll paint around this grouping of flowers here. That'll be our background color, the cerulean blue. Like that. And that'll be our background color. And I just sort of mix that out a little bit. Okay, let's take a break now. I'm starting to feel a little bit like it's a good time to take a little bit of a break, let some of this dry a little bit, and I think that should be fine to take a break now, and then we'll come right back. Once this dries a little bit, maybe 10-15 minutes, this paint will sort of set up and start to dry a little more, and then as we work more inside the center of this bouquet, it's going to look a little better. When we don't have too much water mixing and mingling with all these other washes. If we let these other washes here and there kind of dry a little bit, then we can go in and do the other washes in this central part of the bouquet. It's going to go a little easier for us, and we're not going to have too much of that watercolor flowing out and blossoming and blooming, as they call it, where it kind of floods out into the other areas you don't want it to. Does that make sense? So here we're going to just keep with our game plan, taking a break, and we'll let this dry a little bit. And then we'll come back in like 5-10 minutes. Okay, so I'll be right back. Okay, we're getting back started again, and we're having a great time here. We're enjoying ourselves painting this wonderful flower arrangement here. Can you see all the different colors we're mixing? Does that? Can you see that? How we've added all different mixtures of colors. We used alizarin crimson and rose madder for our roses and our red flowers here, as well as we use some alizarin crimson and French ultramarine blue to make a purplish color, which we kind of did. We just happened to mix that while we had some things on our brush, and it turned out to be a beautiful purple. So we added some darker purples under here, as you can see, here and there. So we added lots of variety of colors here and shadows. And then we added for our greens, lots of green. We used sap green. We used olive green. We used a little bit of cadmium lemon yellow. We even used a little bit of cadmium yellow for some of our other flowers and leaf forms to give us a really good variety of colors here. So this is a really vibrant, beautiful floral arrangement that has many colors in it. We're not kind of getting too much focused on a limited palette here, but basically we're using a lot of colors. So I hope you see that. It really looks good too. It looks fresh. It looks really nice. Let's keep working on this. So I still have my number 4 travel brush here, and I'm going to start working some of the greens over here. So I'm going to take some of that sap green and maybe a little bit of some of the cerulean blue, and then we're going to create, that's good there, and then we're going to do some other some of these other leaf forms, and then we can add some cadmium lemon yellow. That looks pretty good. And we're going to take some more of that cerulean blue, and we're going to try to go around. So we're negative shape painting over here. These flowers over here on this. So I'm just doing a little bit of color here, a little bit of splashing. Okay, now I'm going to change the water in my bucket. I can kind of see that my water is getting a little bit muddy, so our colors aren't looking as fresh as they should. So and I'm just trying to get some of that cerulean blue around the painting. And we have some more flowers over here. And there's a little bit of purple. So I'm going to try to do a little bit of shadowing here, some of that purple, light purplish color inside the leaf, the petals of the flower. In a few places, like so. And then some more greens here. And we'll do some burnt umber and sap green, burnt umber, burnt sienna. A little bit of blue. We're just going to mix up a little bit of a dark there. And let's go with another alizarin crimson here. And I'm just going to do some more purple. And we just have that other flower shape there. And we're going to continue on some and then here I think this looks good if I just kind of do a quick little bit of brush strokes, just quick brush strokes there. And okay, and then we're going to go with more sap green over here. And we're going to do our vase. So we're going to do some of that, those stems. There's a couple leaves down in that vase too, so they might have a little bit of cobalt blue. Maybe we'll do some cobalt blue down here at the bottom. And then some more here too. Cobalt blue looks good. It's got that kind of fresh looking maybe a little French ultramarine blue at the bottom. And I might just put a little bit of extra color here along the side here where the table is. And I'll put a little red there too. And some red here too as well. I want to try to get some of the same colors that we used throughout our painting. I'd like to add those too along this edge here, just to give us some and maybe some more French ultramarine blue. And I just try to get a little bit of a interesting smooth transition into the background colors with some splashing too as well. And I think we're really getting there. We're putting together the final these are a few leaf forms that I have in here. I went off the script a little bit, as you can tell. Maybe if you can, you'll kind of notice I do, I won't always go exactly like I kind of painted over some flowers and lines in here, and that's why I was saying that before earlier. Sometimes you're fine if you're painting and you're looking at everything, and you can improvise and do a little bit of changes here and there, and that is absolutely acceptable. Actually, that's the fun of watercolor. You can actually change as you go, so you don't always have to follow exactly. You don't always have to go exactly like we planned it in the beginning, where we drew everything and said, okay, we're making our pencil drawing. We're able to, go and change and say, well, we're going to actually, so here I'm going to do something a little different as well. I'm just doing a little bit of a different, there's maybe a leaf over here. Like that. And then I can even, we're going to get a little more detail in here. We're going to use our needlepoint brush. Burnt sienna, burnt umber, French ultramarine blue. We're going to make a little bit of a grayish. And then we can load our brush up with water and then dry off a little bit on the tissue, just so we don't have too much. And then we can get a couple really beautiful finer lines that are subtle but look absolutely incredible in our painting here. So this gives it another layer of complexity and interesting detail. So if you can take it to the next level and get those few extra bits of detail like this, it's going to look much better, more interesting, and you'll see that it will. So you can see I did a couple extra bits of, and there we have it. We did this beautiful watercolor flower painting, and I think you'll agree it definitely looks fresh and good looking, and we can even do a few more small bits of you can do a couple more small areas of maybe some red blossoms, and that makes it maybe some, it kind of makes that red a little more interesting and balanced. But I think that looks fine. We're going to actually, we'll peel off the tape here just so we can kind of see that we have our background table. Like so. And then we can put our mat over that, and we can kind of see how good it looks if we're to put a mat over this, like so. And that looks wonderful. So I hope you had a lot of fun here. We have constant, exciting paintings all the time here on my channel. Week after week, we're coming back with new subject matter. Flowers one week, boats the next, seascapes, cityscapes, landscapes. We're doing figure painting. We do everything here watercolor, so you're going to learn all your methods and techniques to watercolor on this one channel here. So I'm glad you stopped by. I'm glad you're going to keep continuing to follow my channel. You're going to learn, again, oodles of information, and we cover the whole enchilada of subject matter here on this channel, so you're not going to be missing out on anything. And we have a lot of fun too as well. And we, again, we always stress the fundamentals every week as we're doing new paintings and compositions, and even if we're working in the new format of Extreme Beginners, which we have a series now. We're doing Extreme Beginners series, but we're using the same techniques and methods in our Beginners series. We're just making it a little more simple for people that are just getting started with watercolor, because we want to help them along too as we work forward and get better at our watercolors. We want to remember that there's people that have never painted before, and they're actually just picking up new supplies and brushes and paints, and they've never even heard of watercolor before, but they just happen to get excited about it and they want to paint along with us. So eventually they're going to be painting along with us, on these more complex paintings like this. But that's why we kind of cover the whole gamut of teaching here on this channel. So we're going to do beginners series paintings, each week, as well as more advanced styles like this. So I'm hoping you enjoy everything here. And I always mention, feel free, if you haven't subscribed, right on the bottom right-hand side of the screen here, there's the subscribe button. If you click that, you'll be sure to get all my videos each week as we make them. And if you hit the notifications bell, which is when you click on subscribe, it'll ask you if you want to have notifications sent to you, and then that will immediately, once the video comes out, you'll immediately know at that very second that the new video is out, and you can watch and check it out, and then you might be working on it in a day or two after that. But I always suggest everyone to watch the video full through one time first, and then come back a second time, and then work through it as you paint and draw and paint your painting, because if you watch it one time full through, you're going to be much more familiar and comfortable with the second time going through it slowly and painting and drawing along with it. So that's just a suggestion, but you don't have to do it that way, of course. Everyone, you're the artist, you know how to do your own process of how you're going to create all of our wonderful paintings here. But just wanted to mention that that's a good way to go. It kind of will work for you. Most people, that will work really well, watching the video full through one time first, and then jumping in the next time, watching the video a second time, and then painting along with it. But again, you're the artist, you make that decision. You know how to work your paintings the best way you can. And we'll see you on the next video, and I appreciate everyone coming by, and happy painting.